So if you're trying to make sense of AI for your business, you're in the right place. All right, welcome back everyone for our next episode. Today's topic is team-based culture with AI. So that's a really interesting one to think about, what teams look like now versus maybe what they used to a few years ago when we think about, delivering work. So Jay, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I think teams are very important, right? Everything in an organization gets done by teams, right? We have teams of professionals, multidisciplinary, cross-functional. We've been using those terms a lot, right? Where you get the right skills and right competencies on the team organized around something that makes sense, like products, platforms, services, which we'll talk more about in the next episode, right? But that team-based approach now has changed a little. So now, we had the discussion between a human and machine model and organization. Well, that's what's happening here now. So now these AI agents, right, and Gen AI solutions that you're going to use as a team member, right? So, well, I mean, we're not going to pay them. They're actually, we're actually, well, actually, we are paying them because we have to pay
Right.
for the tokens and
Yeah.
everything else, like everything else, right? So we are paying, I guess, them, but they're not, they don't have human emotions. They don't have a soul.
Mhm.
So whatever you start them doing, they're just going to keep doing, right? So keep that in mind. But they are a team member now. So that whole notion of a team. So now, what is the role that team member is going to play? And what's critical nowadays that people are trying to figure out is accountability. So remember, teams have accountability to deliver a solution to learn. Now teams are, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to, it's business and IT together is the team,
Yeah.
right? So eventually we won't be saying business and IT. It's just the team, right? To provide the solution and support it as we deliver it.
Yeah, it's really interesting too. I'm hearing companies talk a lot less about the silos in IT as well,
Mm.
where for a long time it was, oh, there's the developers and there's the testers and there's a business analyst and all that kind of stuff. I'm hearing a lot less of that now. It's much more about IT delivery teams,
Mm.
but I am still hearing the IT versus business conversation, which you like to your point, like that's going to start melting away as well. So the silos within IT have started to go away. And I think the silos across the whole organization might start to go away as well.
Yeah, I think so too. And what's interesting, I'm kind of seeing this this conversation about centralization versus distribution,
Mm.
right? Of work and teams and so forth. Nowadays, especially if you're a global company, you're going to have teams across the world, right? And you have to work together. And at the same time, you're going to have certain things or functionality or decision making that's centralized, and then you're going to have certain ones that are decentralized, and you're going to push that down into your team, and your team's going to own that responsibility and accountability, and they're going to make decisions fast and quick. Now, with AI, things are going much, much faster now. AI can make decisions, right? Coding, developing, software, a lot faster now than it ever has been before, right? Which opens up another can of worms now. Is like, how do you govern that, and how do you make sure it's high quality and so forth, right? But I think that whole notion of that team, is important. We used to say, remember, Agile's a team sport,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Well, Agile in AI. So AI is a team of team sport.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting too, like, you think about the team members coming together. There's pros and cons to it as well. The AI agents that are always on and always ready to work, right? It's
Mm.
just a matter of getting them, the next priority to work on. But they
Right?
also, the pros of that, they're always there. They don't take vacation. They don't get tired, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, they're going so fast all the time. Like unless you stop them or don't give them the next thing to do, you've got to keep thinking of the next thing to do. And so they might start outpacing the business, understanding business needs, that kind of stuff, and just start going down paths that we're not ready for yet. And so those teams where that oftentimes used to feel like the bottleneck, even though sometimes it wasn't, sometimes on the front end, it was like more like business decision making. And then it gets to the teams and there's like the whole cycle of that. But I think now it's becoming more obvious that the teams can go really, really fast. And the
Mhm.
business, and decision making and priorities and all that kind of stuff starts to become maybe more the bottleneck on the front end and the back end of should we release this stuff that we've created, right? Or do we need to do more thinking about, is the market ready for it and stuff like that? So that the teams are getting to a point where they're starting to be really interesting and super fast, right?
Right. And it's more than productive. It's like, MIT, did some research and they said that there's, on average 40% productivity gain with the teams, the human and AI teams versus just the human alone teams before, right? And that's right now they're seeing like if you're just human only, you're not, leveraging AI, you only get like 14% on it. So that's a significant difference. And I think also the teaming where the domain experts, right, understand the business processes that we're in workflows and how to make them better and everything. So what they're finding out, if you get the right people in the teams that figure that out, you get 3.5 times more ROI or value because you've got the right mix of people together to figure out how you're going to apply AI, right? So there's a lot of good data out there right now that really shows um, that this is working, right? If you can figure out how best to use it for your organization and code.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point too. That coming back to the topic being team-based culture, it's not just about having a team or a team
Right.
on a project temporarily. Like this really does start to highlight the things we've been talking about with Agile for a long time, which is you want teams that are dedicated teams, like they're
Mhm.
on one team and only one team, and they work together persistently for a long period of time together. They get to understand each other, their strengths, weaknesses, capabilities, and how to work together effectively. No difference here. It's just again with just like with everything, AI just starts to expose more and more that if you're
Mhm.
not working that way, you're just going to be outpaced, you're going to be slow, you're not going
Mhm.
to be able to take advantage of the benefits. So really having that truly team-based culture where everyone is on a real team, not just a temporary pretend project team, but they're
Right.
on a real team permanently where they're able to really be effective together. And then you supplement that with a lot of the opportunities with AI and agentic AI and
Right.
all the tools and things that it just makes it that much better. I know, for a long time we've been able to go into organizations that weren't team based, that they were coming from maybe more traditional project management, waterfall kind of
Mhm.
things where you get people allocated all over the place with,
Right.
certain percentages. And we could literally triple their productivity by putting them on a real team and teaching them Scrum. And that was guaranteed we could increase your productivity by like 300%. Now with AI, I mean, that's table stakes. You got to be doing that in
Right.
the first place. Then you put AI on top of that, and it's just jet fuel, right?
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's the difficult yet easy thing to do if you sit down and you look at your organization and say, okay, well, how can I organize my people so that they're dedicated to this functionality or this workflow or this process or whatever? So like sales and marketing, right? You have dedicated people that do sales, right? Well, you should have dedicated people in the technology world that helps the salespeople and they work together, right? Because they have products and services and so forth that they got to do to improve sales, for example, right? And so if you have that already, then it's easier for them once you figure out your organizational structure for them to say, okay, how can I apply AI in my sales and marketing? Right? And they're going to have some clear, goals and targets that they want to reach. Everyone has pain points, right? And you want to, resolve your pain points, right? And remember we used to say, well, we still do, in Agile that another reason why you have dedication and you work on specific items in your backlog or whatever is it lowers this notion where you have to go back and forth and figure. So if I'm in the middle of something, all of a sudden I have to go do something else and everything. It takes a long time for me to recover and go back and figure out what to do and finish, right? Well, with AI agents, they don't have that problem.
Right. They don't have that switching text. That's what we used to call it.
No.
Yeah. 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 It's good to your point, getting those teams, organized in the first place, and then teams of teams in a domain like sales and marketing or finance or whatever, right? Or a specific customer product line,
Yeah.
right? Getting really deep into that really gives them an advantage if they can stay there for a while and
Mhm.
really understand the nuances and understand the problems and sort those out. It's a huge advantage. So,
Right.
but
And
it
it
kind of leads
actually,
us into the topic we have for next time as
yeah.
well. Yeah, which is next topic for next episode is going to be that shift from project to product,
Mhm.
which is a really important one. It's something we've been talking about in the agile world for decades. But again, just like with everything, AI has just exposed that even more. That if you haven't made that shift, you really should, because there's huge opportunities you're missing out on by not being organized that way. So that's the next episode. So with that, thanks for listening. I'm Aaron.
I'm Jake.
All right. See you next time.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi. Thanks for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And drop a comment with topics or questions you'd like us to cover. Thank you. See you later.